This is the White Coat Investor Podcast, Milestones to Millionaire, celebrating stories of success along the journey to financial freedom.
It's Milestones to Millionaire Podcast number 95. Emergency Physician Gets Back to Broke. This podcast is sponsored by Bob Baiani at drdisabilityquotes.com. He's an independent provider of disability insurance planning solutions to the medical community in every state and a longtime White Coat Investor sponsor. He specializes in working with residents and fellows early in their careers to set up sound financial and insurance strategies. If you need to review your disability insurance coverage or to get this critical insurance in place, contact Bob at drdisabilityquotes.com today. You can email info@drdisabilityquotes.com. You can call 973-771-9100. All right, we got a fellow emergency physician on the podcast today. I'm excited to get on. He's accomplished something great. Let's hear about it. Our guest on today's Milestones to Millionaire podcast is Joel, an emergency medicine physician in his second year of practice out of residency. Welcome to the podcast, Joel.
Thanks for having me.
Now, it took us a few months to get you on here from the time you applied, but the milestone you reached when you applied was getting back to broke. I think you said in your application that your net worth was $1,300. So congratulations to you on getting back to broke so quickly.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Well, let's dive into the details. Let's start with the numbers. How much debt did you have when you came out of your training?
So, we had a mortgage at the time. I probably went a little bit against what advice you would have given us, but we were pretty sure we were going to stay in the same place that we were in for residency, that same town. So we actually purchased a house about, I think it was $160,000 on the mortgage. Initially down to $150,000, and we had $230,000 on student loans when I first graduated from med school. Finishing residency, got that down about, I think it was about 215 or so, like 210, 215, somewhere in that vicinity.
Three years of residency, and you moved the needle by 15 or 20,000. Isn't that amazing? All that hard work, and that's all it moved. And then, you get out, and all of a sudden things start moving really quickly.
Yeah, it was, and a lot of that was with sign-on bonus. Decided to put quite a bit of that towards the interest that accumulated during residency, or sorry, not during residency, during med school. All the interest that I accumulated, didn't want it to capitalize, so put it on that.
Did you calculate your net worth when you walked out of residency?
I think it was around negative 200,000 or so.
Negative $200,000. That's actually not bad. I don't know what order these episodes are going to run in, but I recorded one earlier this morning with a doc who owed $780,000 in student loans when she walked out of residency. So it can certainly be much worse than what you faced. All right. So let's talk about, income. You're an emergency doc, so you have a pretty decent income. Are you an employee? Are you in a partnership track? What are you doing this year?
Yeah. So right now, W-2. So on a partnership track, but it's a little bit longer track. So it's about a 5-year track. No actual buy-in, so I don't make less money to get there. We make the same amount as everybody else. We still get some of the matching. It's not like technically a 401k match. It's more of it's basically a voluntary contribution that our employer makes to our 401k.
Mm-hmm. You're allowed to match yourself, it sounds like.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, I had a similar situation when I was a pre-partner. It's basically a carve out for highly paid employees. Sounds like you're in that carve out.
Yeah, and then we get cash balance plan too.
So approximately how much income in that first year out?
So I think half the year was like 107. No, it was a little over 200,000. It was like 210, 220,000 for the first 6 months, plus then the 30,000 we made in residency.
Okay, you were working pretty hard.
Yeah, I think I was doing 140 hours a month, so not too bad.
Okay. Yeah, that's 12/12s. I guess that's full time-ish.
Yeah.
All right,
right about that.
Well, and is there a partner involved? Are you married?
Yep. Yeah, married. Now we have 2 kids. So just had one that arrived about a month ago. So had our first one intern year, had a first one child intern year, and then my wife just stays home with the kids.
Okay, so we're only dealing with your income here, it sounds like.
Yep, correct. My income's varied a lot. I guess from going all the way back, I actually didn't go straight through. So I was actually a finance major in undergrad, and then came out and worked as a bank teller because I was I graduated in 2010. That puts some perspective on it. So there wasn't really much in the finance realm for me.
Okay. Okay. Very nice. And let's break it down now. Let's break down where you're sitting. It's been, a year and a half, whatever your most recent, calculation has been. Where do your assets sit at now, and where do your liabilities sit at now?
I had to go back and just double check and write it down here. So from a liability standpoint, I'll just give you we just bought a new house too. Bought my doctor house finally. Decided to go ahead and do that. We were in a pretty good spot, and rates were starting to rise. Decided, it's about as good a time as any, and we were able to get our house sold pretty easily too. So we have about just under 200,000 student loans, like 195. I still have 15,000 on one car loan. The other car is paid off. Just actually bought a new car cash. And then my wife still has 5,000 in student loans. And then we have home equity right now, about 90,000 in our current home. It was a doctor loan, so I didn't have to technically pay any money down, but we had saved up a little bit and then took the equity we had in the other home, rolled that over. And then we've got about 155,000 total in the investment accounts. That basically breaks down about 65,000 in Roth, 35,000 tax deferred, and then the remainder in taxable. Net worth ends up being about 110,000.
Okay. So, you build wealth. The student loans aren't gone by any means. Mm-hmm. It sounds like you took more of a perspective that you're going to invest more rather than, try to take the loans in a corner and drop an anvil on them. How did you guys make that decision of how you were going to balance paying off debt versus investing?
I refinanced on March 8th, and I got a 1.55% interest rate on my student loans.
That's awfully good right now.
Years. Yeah,
it's awfully good with inflation at 8% and a 5-year treasury yielding 4% or something like that.
Yeah, that's why we're doing it that way. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It makes sense. Okay. And you've obviously carved a lot of your income out to build some wealth. What you just bought a doctor house, so you're spending a little bit more money now. But what were you living on up until that point?
Oh, we'd lived on 60,000, and we were actually saving even a little bit during residency. We'd saved up about 10,000 over the 3 years in residency. So we saved about 10,000 up into the 401k during residency, and then we saved maybe another 6,000 kind of as emergency savings too over that time frame. So we just kind of were doing a little bit of saving. I think we increased it to about 80,000 in living expenses last year before we bought the doctor house over the summer here.
So it's a little bit of a raise, but 25% or something like that. You gave yourself 25% raise.
That's what we figured.
And did that feel good? Did that feel like, hey, we got all kinds of money now? How'd that feel like to give yourself a little raise?
It felt pretty good, actually. We did a little bit more traveling, not a ton more, but some more traveling. Got to go, spend a lot more time, in other cities nearby us, and got to spend more time with family and things, and just felt like we had a little bit more freedom with things, which was really nice.
Did you get any other help here? Did your parents pay for your school? Did you get an inheritance from a long lost uncle? Was it basically just you went and saw patients in the ER and that's how you're building wealth?
That's basically it. I think I had 7. So when I started college in 2006, I had a 14,000 and a 529. It was going to be saved for my junior and senior year for off-campus living expenses, and then the bear market hit, and it went to 7,000, and I still had to take the money out. So that was the sum total of my, if you want to call it an inheritance, but that was the only help I received was that 7,000. And everything else went on student loans beyond that. I got lucky with my undergrad loans. I basically got 3/4 tuition scholarship to go to undergrad. And then I got a scholarship. Actually, I forgot about this. I did get a half tuition scholarship for med school.
And so, all right, tell us how you did it. This is clearly, there's a partnership here, and but you guys managed to be making $400,000 a year while living on 80.
Yeah,
that is not easy for most people to do. Most people come out of residency and they have this lifestyle explosion. How did you avoid that?
So my wife and I are both very frugal. My wife was really nervous. When we first started dating, she really wanted to be very frugal and everything. And a good example of that, we went on a trip to Chicago and we spent a total between the two of us of $500 for a full weekend, including gas and hotel and everything. That's just kind of the people we are, I guess. We live in the Midwest. It's just kind of where we are, and she still clips coupons. That's what she likes doing, and so sometimes it's a little bit difficult. And my sister always jokes that I could squeeze blood out of a penny. It wasn't for me. It wasn't always that way though. I spent a lot until college, and then for some reason, in the middle of college, just started struggling with money. And towards the end of it, I could not find a job in finance, and so then I ended up. I got to a point once where I had about $200 in my bank account, looking at a $500 rent payment. Had to find a job very quickly and got lucky. And ever since then, I've been kind of, I guess, more frugal than I guess me, the average person.
Yeah, it's funny how those early lessons in independent life can really have a very long-standing impact on us. I think I got a very little bit of help during college. Essentially, my mom helped me pay rent for 8 months during college, and and that was about it. Otherwise, it was whatever I could earn in the summer, whatever I could earn during the school year, whatever plasma I could donate. And about March every year, I'd run out of money. I was literally donating plasma for grocery money.
Yep.
And if that sort of thing stays with you for a while, you learn that, you know what, I can be frugal. And that's an amazing strength. It gives you an amazing amount of discipline to help build wealth, no matter what your income, whether you got a 5-figure, 6-figure, or 7-figure income, those lessons stay with you. So, I don't know that I would wish them on anybody.
No.
But are they beneficial? Yes. The problem is I keep trying to come up with ways to give my kids this experience without giving them this experience. It's very tricky.
Yes. If you have a good book on how to do that, I'd love it, because I'm still looking for that book. I've not figured it out yet.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, let's go back a couple of years, 2 years, 3 years. There's somebody in residency right now that wants to do what you did, that wants to hit the ground running, wants to build wealth rapidly. It's a dream to be in their doctor house, a year out of residency, be back to broke, be making progress on loans, have, 6 figures in investments, be off to the races like you are. What advice do you have for that person?
So it really is the stuff I think you always preach. Make sure that we're living within our means. I think just taking a little bit of money and setting it aside every month, even if you don't, high cost living areas are tricky. It's going to be tough in places like New York, Chicago, LA, but I think you can still try to set aside a little bit of money and just, getting that habit going. That was something I always struggled with growing up, was getting that little bit of savings going. My parents tried to do that every month. We're trying to get me to save a little bit. And once you start doing a little bit here and there, it seems to make a big difference. My residency actually allowed us to put money in the 401k and automatically increase contributions every year. And so we just went ahead and did that. And that was very easy to allow that money to just come out with my paycheck, and I didn't even notice it. So, doing something along those lines where you can, do that during residency, and then obviously try to convert that 401k money over to Roth if you can, sometime later on in residency before you graduate might be helpful too. But just getting that habit going early on, I think is really, really helpful.
Yeah. And you're a finance major. You're looking at, debt and interest rates and going, I can refinance to 1.55%. I can get a mortgage that's a low rate. And how much of that do you think played into your success story the last year and a half?
Maybe some. I'll be honest. I've actually learned more. I did my third year of grand rounds for residency. I did kind of a finance talk, just kind of basics, and just kind of tried to go through some of the white coat investor and some other resources, and just try to really summarize things for the other residents. Just a quick overview of investing and all that. And since then, I've learned so much more than I really learned in 4 years of finance. It's unbelievable, and it's been 10 years, and things have changed a ton. I did do 2 semesters or 1 semester, 2 classes of a master's in securities analysis as well. I forgot about that. And that class, one of those classes, we actually had to sit down and really go through individually to companies and compare them on a book basis, like get them down to their enterprise value. And I learned about index funds at that time. So it wasn't even during my undergrad that I finally learned about index funds. It was after that. So I've learned so much more since then. The finance degree probably helped some, but I think more of that muscle of just saving and getting used to saving probably helped me the most.
Awesome. Well, you've done fantastic work. You swung your network by $220,000 in your first year of being an attending. You should be proud. And I appreciate you coming on the Milestones to Millionaire podcast to share your experience with others to inspire them to do the same.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
All right. Lots of lessons there. One is different strokes for different folks, right? We get people on here that every dime they make goes toward their student loans until they're gone. We get people who kind of make the minimum payments and put all their money into investments. Neither one is necessarily right or wrong. The key is the percentage of your income, this new high attending income, that's going toward wealth building activities. That's either paying down debt, going toward a house down payment, or going toward longer term investments, or even, in the beginning, setting up an emergency fund, that sort of a thing. The key is your savings rate, not necessarily what you're investing in, not necessarily how you split it up between paying off debt and investing. The key is just carving out a whole bunch of money and using it to build wealth for those first few years out of residency. Makes all the difference in the world. This podcast was sponsored by Bob Baiani at drdisabilityquotes.com. One listener sent us this review about Bob. It's been absolutely terrific to work with. Bob has always clearly and quickly communicated with me by both email and or telephone, with responses to my inquiries usually coming the same day. I have somewhat of a unique situation, and Bob has been able to help explain the implications and underwriting process in a clear and professional manner. Contact Bob at drdisabilityquotes.com today. You can email him at info@drdisabilityquotes.com, or you can call 973-771-9100 to get disability insurance in place today. Keep your head up, your shoulders back. You've got this, and we can help. We'll see you next Monday on the Milestones to Millionaire podcast.
The hosts of the White Coat Investor podcast are not licensed accountants, attorneys, or financial advisors. This podcast is free entertainment and information only. It should not be considered professional or personalized financial advice. You should consult the appropriate professional for specific advice relating to your situation.